The more we take inventory of our nervous system and our actions and how we're spending our time, what you're going to notice is at least 30% of your time can be reorganized. Reorganized in a way that supports you in regulating your nervous system and assists you in changing your reality. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. I am so excited you are here. And today, before I started, I was checking in with the master's teachers and loved ones from the Akashic Records, and they told me to channel this message for you. And we're going to see where it goes because I like to also witness what's going to be said as well. But the gist and the topic that we're covering is time. And this is what they're saying. How you choose to spend your time is how your nervous system will react throughout the day. So let's say that slightly different. If you are in a state of heightened stress all the time, and let's say you are using social media to escape, or Netflix to escape, or maybe using substances to escape. How you're choosing to use your time is going to impact your nervous system. So if you're using something to escape, your nervous system is constantly fleeing. Even if you're numbing out in that particular moment while you're consuming whatever it is that you're consuming, your nervous system is fleeing from the problem. And so what they're wanting you to do is take inventory of how you're spending your time. So over the next week, this is a homework assignment if you choose to do it. It's an invitation, is to observe what you're doing throughout the day. And you can just make notes in your phone or in a notebook. And then you can ask yourself, when you were doing that activity, how much was that activity enjoyable, or how much did that activity bring you stress, or how did you feel about that activity? So let me back up for just a second. There are going to be activities that you don't want to do. So let's just get that right off the plate. There are things that we don't want to do, but we have to do them in order to function in life. Like, I have a toddler. Sometimes our morning routine is awesome. She cooperates, and sometimes it's super challenging. Like, she's a little human that doesn't want to get dressed, or doesn't want to eat, or doesn't want to go to school. And that's perfectly okay, but it is a required thing for the day. And once she gets there, she's great. So some mornings they're great. Sometimes they're not. Do I want to do morning routine every morning? Absolutely not. Especially when I have someone that doesn't want to do the morning routine the way I want to do it. And so am I stressed? Sure. But with that being said, it's something that's a required thing that I have to do. What you're taking inventory is how you are perceiving that particular activity. So the guardians are saying that we can take inventory of all of our activities, and the required activities, even if they're stressful, we can still show up in a different way. And I'll give you another example. I have a lot of childhood trauma around cleaning. I started doing my own laundry when I was 7. We did all of our household laundry, my sister and I, when we were 7. And we had to clean every single day. We had to mop every single day. We had to do massive deep cleaning almost every single day. And then we had our actual deep cleaning day on Saturdays. And so everything had to be spotless in our house. So as an adult, I had to make peace with being okay with cleaning my house without being triggered. And that's really important because it's a required task that makes me feel good, but how I'm approaching that task has to be in a way that serves my nervous system versus a way that is a trauma response. So let me say that slightly different again. When you are looking at your list of things that you are doing over the next week and you notice you're triggered, you're stressed out, you're not excited to do that activity, and it's a required activity, and you got to be honest with yourself. Is it a required activity? Because sometimes we're doing activities that we think are required, but they're really not. You're doing them out of obligation. And I've seen this over and over and over again where someone thinks like, well, I have to do that. Otherwise, that person's depending on me. This is a people-pleasing behavior. And if you are a people pleaser, like I am a people pleaser, and so I have to be very honest with myself that it is okay for me to say no to things, and it is okay for me not to be stressed out about making someone else's life perfect, because it's not my responsibility. What my responsibility is taking care of my responsibilities and taking care of my family and myself. And when I do that, my nervous system will be in a better state of regulation. The guardians are saying from the Akashic Records that the more we take inventory of our nervous system and our actions and how we're spending our time, what you're going to notice is at least 30% of your time can be reorganized. Reorganized in a way that supports you in regulating your nervous system and assists you in changing your reality. And what they mean by that is when you notice how you're spending your time, you're going to have more time to do the things that support you in feeling better. Give you an example. You could be like, you know what? I'm spending a lot of time on social media, or I'm spending a lot of time on phone, or I'm spending a lot of time answering emails for work after hours. Because there's that happens, especially since COVID, people are working a lot more from home. And so there's not really good boundaries when it comes to work and family time, or work and off time. And when you start to recognize these habits, then you can start to go, let me do something differently. I'm going to block off this amount of time to answer emails, and things can wait till the next day. Depends on your work, depends on your situation, but there's always a workaround. And there's always a different way to perceive the situation so that you are taking care of yourself in a different way. So, good example is, let's say you are spending a lot of time on screens. You can go, you know what? I'm going to take an hour of that time and I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to journal in my notebook. I'm going to take a bath. I'm going to catch up with an old friend. All of these activities, depending on who you are, feeds the soul. So you have to discover the activities that feed your soul, because that goes into your fulfillment cup. And the more you keep pouring into that fulfillment cup, the more your nervous system will regulate, the more that your nervous system will be on board to do challenging things. So let me say that slightly different. If you are constantly in a state of fight or flight, the challenging things that come up in your life will feel even more challenging. And they'll be more challenging, so you might then go into coping mechanisms that don't serve your highest good. Then that deregulates your nervous system even more. And so you get into this vicious cycle. When you take the time to take inventory of how you're spending your time, you can then start making small little changes that assist you in changing your entire reality. So it's not that you're changing your whole calendar, your whole life in one night. That would be really awesome, but let's be honest, that's not feasible. And most people, that's not sustainable. But you can change even I mentioned an hour. You can do 10 minutes. You can do 10 minutes differently every single day. That's going to have a massive impact in your life. For me, picking up after my child goes to bed majorly helps me feel better about the way that I perceive my house and energetically am looking at my house. And so, because I work from home and seeing toys everywhere bothers me. And I've had to have conversations with myself in the past where I've had to really tell myself it doesn't take that long. And so what I do now is I set a timer because I have to trick my emotional body into doing the task so that she feels better about it. And so I set the timer for either 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and whatever I can get cleaned within that allotted time, and it's amazing how much you can get cleaned in 5 to 10 minutes. That's what it is. And so I don't make the task this grandiose thing. Instead, I break it down into a small, approachable task that allows me to change how I feel. And by having that picked up, I feel better about it. And this can be done for anything. So think about the things that you dread doing. Think about the things that you don't want to do, but you know would feed your soul. How can you make the space and time for those very things? And it's looking at how you're spending your time and pulling that time from those activities that don't feed your soul. And we are creatures of habit. And we get into a hypnotic state because we've done that task over and over and over again. And so if you've gotten into this cycle of let's say, watching too much TV or playing video games or doing something that doesn't feed your soul, that takes away from the things that you're wanting to do, look at doing something before that activity or during the activity. And you have to set a timer if you're doing it during the activity. For me, and this is for anybody, it's hard to break away from the habit, especially if you've already started that particular activity. So if you sandwich it in between activities you're already doing, it's 10 times more effective. The other thing the Guardians are saying about time is that when you recognize these time pockets as opportunity to get to know yourself in a different way, you'll start to approach life from a curious excitement that will bring you a new level of joy because you're inviting the inner child to play and to witness and to be a part of your day in a different way. So let me say that slightly different. Let's say you're wanting to do something different and you're wanting to have more fun. Who doesn't want to have more fun? Everybody wants to have more fun, right? And so when you're doing these activities, you can invite your inner child to participate in these activities. One, your innocent inner child gets to experience life from this timeline, this present moment, versus from the moment he or she has been living in. Because all of our bodies, and I teach this in my course, Sacred Awakening, all of our bodies, our mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, inner child, and ego all live in the past. And they influence how you spend your time as well because they are creatures of habit. And they have numbing mechanisms. They have flight or flight mechanisms that they encourage you to do so that they can keep the normalcy, and I'm putting that in quotations, normalcy of what they know to be true from the past. Because what they know to be true, even if it was traumatic or not very traumatic, they are familiar with the past and they're comfortable with the past because they know what to expect. And if they know what to expect, they can't be hurt in any other different way because they've experienced that hurt as well, even if you're hurting yourself. And I know it sounds like, ugh, like why would I want to continue to hurt myself? Well, we hurt ourselves because our bodies influence that because our bodies don't know any better. They don't know any different. And so it's kind of like if you've ever heard the story about a bear being chained up, and the bear is chained to this chain, and it doesn't know that it can go past a boundary because it's been chained so long. Eventually they take the chain off, and the bear won't go past the boundary because it was trained. That's as far as it can go. Our bodies are the same way, and how we spend our time is influenced by the bodies. So we can change our bodies and change our entire reality by paying attention to how we spend our time, choosing different activities, and it could be only for 5 minutes. You can start with 5 minutes. You can invite your inner child or any of the other bodies to participate and witness this change, and then they get excited and on board, and you get to change as well, which is freaking awesome if you ask me. So, how are you going to spend your time this week? Observe the way you're spending your time. That's assignment number 1. And then start making small little changes. And you already know the changes you want to make. But the taking the time to inventory your time is going to be a massive reality check for you, because you're going to be really honest with yourself on how you're spending your time. And what are the things that you really want to do? Because you do have the time. I promise you, you have more time. You just got to rearrange some things. And that might be going to bed earlier. That might be getting up earlier. That might be saying no to things that people have you doing or organizations have you doing that aren't in alignment with the way that you want to live your life. And you just got to be really honest with yourself if that's truly what you want to say goodbye to. Because when you say goodbye to something, a new door opens up, and it's way more magical. And I promise you, when one door closes, another one opens, and you get to shape what that door looks like as you're navigating through it, which is very cool. All right, my friends, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please make sure you like and subscribe and share this with a friend. Bye.